All right, fellas, what is happening? We are here in the building. Want to be right like 7, guys. So listen, you know the drill. You can skip to 2 minutes in if you're just catching the replay. 2 minutes in, or maybe 90 seconds in. Who knows? Is where I'm going to start this today. And then leading by example, guys. This is not called being rude and eating on my presentation, but I got to get my macros in and my micros, which is the whole point of this presentation. All right, is we got to eat to be good strength athletes. All right. All right, guys. So here's what I want to talk about tonight. Now, first off, listen, I don't want to overwhelm you with information. Here's the important takeaway, is we always want to get just like a little bit better, right? Like if you want to deadlift 800 pounds, you cannot just like start at 200 and then do all the things that an 800-pound deadlifter would, okay? But you can take a lot of elements, okay? So, what does that 800-pound deadlifter do? They probably have, a lifestyle that is conducive to success for that goal. They probably have movement prep, they have routines, they have structure that allows them to get there. So I want you to think about these things just like in the confines of your diet, because it's like very well and good to say like, oh, just like follow a meal plan, right? But for some people, we're starting down at level 0. So I just want it to be clear that like while we're like aiming for the tippy top, if you are not doing anything at all for your food, step 1 is you have got to start tracking protein. You need to start tracking your protein and like literally start hitting 100 grams a day. Okay? Bump it up, 150. Once you can do 150, then let's start tying it to your body weight. I think you should be eating at least 1 pound per gram, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So just like starting there, let's just get some basics out of the way. Tell the foe, my man, what's up, brother? We got to get those basics out of the way. Then we start hitting our calories and carbs and this and that. But that's not what this is about. Tonight, this is about avoiding fad diets and doing what is right. So I got my notes here. So I'm gonna pop this out so we can get into the nitty gritty. Guys, ask questions if you have them. All right, so here's what we got. Why are we doing this? We want to be high performance machines. Okay? Very plain and simple. If you have a Ferrari, you can't just go put, regular ass like standard fuel into it. It takes premium because it is a premium machine, right? I don't know that much about cars, but I think you understand what I'm getting at, okay? So we want to make sure that we are fueling ourselves for success. And this doesn't just mean protein, carbs, and calories, right? This means like our micronutrients and minerals and, food quality, digestion, and if you want to, whatever, let's just go into all of it tonight. Am I going to go over game day, competition, nutrition, and hydration tonight? Well, this is all tied in. So I just want you to understand this, that I think everything in competition should be as close to routine as possible. So not just like the day of, but the build in, right? So like your preferred carb sources, like for a good workout, like those will work really well for competition. Now, if you have a high electrolyte, high mineral, high nutrient diet day in and day out, like you're going to perform better in competition, because let's like talk about your blood work, right? Your blood work, when you get it done, shows levels of different things in your body. So that is kind of a snapshot of where you are in that time, but things take like 3 months to adjust. It's like if you go to a doctor, they're going to want you to come back in 3 months with new blood work, because that's just like what it takes for certain levels of things in your body to adjust. So if you have low magnesium or low potassium, you can start implementing those things in your diet now, and then you would see it improve down the line. So just think about like game day performance, right? Like it's all well and good to like really, really load up a bunch of magnesium and have like a bunch of it like in your system, but we want that stuff to like be present like in the bloodstream. So it takes a little bit of time for that to actually kick in and like downstream, affect like the different processes. Like magnesium is really good for like calming the nervous system. Okay, so stuff like potassium, really good like for your kidneys and like detoxification. So if you want all of your organs to work, it's not really about like loading up in like the days or even like the week before competition or right before. It's really about like setting yourself up kind of as far out as possible. Because if you do this for months, the benefits compound themselves. If you do it for years, the benefits compound themselves. This is like why I talk about, the belt levels and talking about the different levels is because like, when you get to the top level, these guys have been doing it for years and years and years. And they are just like, I don't think people really understand just like how far ahead these people are because of the work they have been doing, which compounds on itself to, make them move basically at 5x speed compared to somebody that's down here. But we all have the ability to get there. Anyways, okay. So micronutrients, we want to like get this stuff in so we have a competitive advantage. So we are basically 5xing our gains. Like this is what it's about. Is just like big 5xing of the games. So, if we're talking about like order of importance for like what you need to focus on, number one, order one is just straight up calories, right? Like you as a person have a certain level that you're going to burn in an entire day. So if you want to perform, you have to make sure that you are getting enough to do that. If you want to build strength and muscle, you have to make sure that you are putting enough into your body to recover and then come back stronger the next day, right? Number two is then your macros, right? Protein, carbs, fats. Number three is your micros. I'm going to just go ahead and jot all these down, and then we'll go bit by bit for hydration. And then number five is quality, okay? And the reason that I really want to like go in this order is, again, we want to like start from level one, because just to like give people all this shit about like, all right, well, you need to eat organic, you need to like not eat this and that. Like that's impossible and completely shit advice for most people. So like what we want to do is make sure we can consistently hit the right amount of calories so we have control of our weight. Then we want to make sure that we're hitting the like macros, carbs, proteins, fats for us that we need. And then we need to adjust these protein, carbs, and fats and start hitting our micronutrients. So like, what does that mean? That means you could have like a blank protein source, right? Or like a blank carb source. Corn is mostly like an empty ass carb, right? Or like, a lot of like standard wheat bread, just like very empty, like plain carbs. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because like if you're bulking, right? Like somebody like Hafthor Bjornsson, right? Like that guy's going to be eating 600, 700, 800 grams of carbs a day when he's on his like really, really big peak stuff. So he's going to need stuff that is just straight fuel, right? But he'll do stuff throughout the day to get all of his other like micros in, such as, juices or carrots or, whatever, right? So you got to make sure that you're getting stuff that is like filling you up. So for me, I have some white rice a day, but the most of my carb sources are fruits, right? Sweet potatoes. A lot of fruit right now, man. It's seasonal in Florida, so I have that. My wife's sourdough bread, which I had to buy to start this thing. And, like some leafy greens, some black beans. I'd say I have a little bit of barbecue sauce. I have some carbs that also come from, I drink raw milk in the morning. But a lot of fruits in there, man. So I'm getting a lot of micronutrients. Like, could I just eat like plain white rice? For sure. But then I'm not getting, like, citrulline is in watermelon, man. Or bromine is in pineapple. Like, those are things that right there, citrulline increases like nitric oxide blood flow, which is just good for everything in your entire body. And then, the bromelain, if I didn't say that right the first time, like that's something that helps your gut function better, right? Like it's actually proven that you digest meat better if you eat a little bit of pineapple before, right? Because of that bromelain. So that's why like I choose things like that here, but this was kind of developed over time, like knowing my food preferences. Now here's the thing, if you get these micros in order, you actually do not need a whole lot of extra hydration, but you do want to make sure that this is complemented of like your lifestyle and your environmental factors. Okay, so one second, plopped off here. All right, this is reflective of your environmental factors. All right, it's like it's hot in Florida, so I need extra water. I will be sweating more, so I can't just like get all of this. But like if I was in the winter, not really sweating much, like there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to be covered just from like the foods alone, right? Especially if I salt a lot of my foods. Okay. Sorry guys, wife called. I'm just gonna send her a text. I'm on the YouTube, on YouTube Live. Great. And then finally, quality, right? So people get caught up in like wanting to be organic and this and that. Like that's really, really good. I think eventually you try to make as best high quality food choices as you can, right? Like organic is better than not. There's actually like a living energetic profile in a lot of organic foods that does not exist in non-organic, but that's a whole different thing, right? But it just kind of conceptually, the way you want to think about this is like your body is a living, breathing organism, not just like one entire unit, but all of your organs regenerate themselves. Even your skin is not the same skin that you had, right, like a year ago. It's completely new. It's a whole different set, top to bottom. You shed a lot of it out, you regenerated a lot of it. So it makes sense that you would want things that are like active and living to be the building blocks for you, an active and living person, okay? So go through all of that. Again, order of importance. We want to make sure calories first, macros, micros, hydration, and then on to quality. So micronutrients matter because they're just like the raw materials that like get your body going, right? We're talking about like hormones, recovery, sleep, all of this stuff. Everything suffers. You're going to feel like shit, right? Like, you don't believe me? Just eat like a bunch of bread and then have protein shakes all day long. You're like going to technically hit your macros, but you're going to feel like absolute crap. So thinking about like key nutrients in Strongman, right? Like we're talking about things like zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, selenium, B vitamins, cholesterol. All of those things go to hormone production, testosterone production. They help your thyroid balance and function. They help your stress management. Like I said, magnesium is a calming nutrient, right? This is why people take it before bed, is because it calms their nervous system, okay? Right? So like having that around, like it just helps you literally manage stress if you can manage the physical stress by having some of these literal elements in you, okay? And sleep quality, right? Like if you're just like wired all the fucking time and you can't relax and like calm down, your body's just not going to get into deep and REM sleep, which is super important. Now, this matters like even further if you are enhanced, if you are somebody that's on gear, on steroids, right? Because like things are already like sort of out of whack. You have more recovery demands, but with gear, peptides, testosterone, steroids, all this stuff, this and that, kind of like the things that you typically see are you have a greater stress in your liver, right? Just because that's like where a lot of the steroids are processed, right? You're gonna have higher blood pressure, just a side effect. More oxidative stress. What is oxidative stress? That is like, right, like when your body is, think of it just like as like factory runoff, right? Like a bunch of like smoke that comes out of like the stacks when a factory produces anything that you can possibly think of. Your body has like similar things that go on where it releases stress like as a byproduct of like doing work, right? So when we have things like berries in there with term like antioxidant, antioxidant, right? Like that's oxidative stress that's removing this oxidative stress from your system. Now, one of the very few supplements I give a big rounding thumbs up to is glutathione. Glutathione removes oxidative stress from your system. I've found almost nothing better, but it works really, really well. So, continuing on. Micronutrients just help offset all of that stuff. So, like, it is more important when you're on gear than when you're not. This is like another thing that, you know, people on gear or whatever, and like the common vernacular or the ideas, like, oh, it's just like that person's just going to hop on steroids and get really strong and really good. Well, like, no, because at the highest level, first off, most people are on shit. And then there are some that are not, right? Like 80-kilo world champ, Mason Cup, that guy's not on any gear whatsoever, but he's locked in all the way, right? Probably on his diet. I don't know what he eats, but I bet you he's on top of it. It's like these things just like matter more at the highest level. And if you are slacking on them, then you're not going to make it, right? Like, but also think about, like, if you're that person that's on top of all this shit and there's, you know, you're going against somebody that's not. You got a competitive advantage. That's what this is all about, right? So kind of going through some more specifics, right? Your heart. Your heart needs certain things like potassium, magnesium, and omega-3s so that it can recover faster between events, deliver blood more efficiently to your entire body, which you obviously need. Your brain needs things like omega-3s. You've heard about things like fish oils, right? Those have omega-3 6s that are in there, but you can get that from salmon, egg yolks, B vitamins. You can get that from most animal proteins. Okay, I just had some tuna, some ahi tuna before this. I think that canned tuna is nasty, but some like yellowfin ahi tuna, I love that stuff. Just had some of that. That's going right into my brain. Choline, the magnesium, choline's in eggs, right? So I think just think, why would you not want like more focus, more brain power, like better decision making, faster decision making, right? If you want to be like at the best, like it just doesn't make sense why you would not want to do these things, okay? And now this is a good time to bring up the point of bioavailability. Bioavailability is basically like, yes, this food, let's talk about beef heart, the heart of a cow, has CoQ10 in it, right? So it's the highest bioavailable form in food of CoQ10. That means for like every like 1 gram, one amount of CoQ10, you are getting like 0.9 out of it. And that's actually just not the same in everything, right? It's like not the same in supplements. So like supplements are good, but a lot of them are absolutely bunk and nonsense and don't really work because they're like bioavailability of the actual molecules that make up that compound are not in a form that allows your body to uptake them. So a lot of them are just garbage. Is the hard truth of supplements. But when you get it from some of these natural sources, it just is not only in the molecular form that allows you to uptake it correctly, but it also usually combines with other things in that item that you are eating that enhances absorption. So like again, beef heart, CoQ10, it's got iron, it got B vitamins. These things all work together so your body can utilize all three of them in the right ways. Okay? Just goes on and on, right? You know, so any organ you really want to like look at, kidney, liver, brain, heart, lungs, like they all need these micronutrients to work at their highest level, right? Full body head to toe. Like if you wanted to be the best strength athlete, which is about performance, right? All your system is working together as one, and you're only as strong as your weakest link. So like, why would you want like a really shitty liver, you know, but everything else is working fine? That actually like doesn't really happen. It doesn't work that way. So this is another thing where like rising tides lift all ships. Like, you know, you're kind of having just like a functional baseline wherever it is, and like you're gonna raise it all up together. But if something is like really, really lacking, it's gonna keep everything, you know, down to this level, right? It's gonna be an anchor on all of these things. So you need to take kind of like a bigger approach. And it's not that, you know, it's gonna like leave you, let's say, like at a scale of 0 to 10, right? It's not going to leave you at like a 1 or 2, but most people are going to operate at like a 6 or 7 before they actually like get into all of this and do it as a lifestyle and a routine. And then they'll just bump up to 10. And I'm telling you, like, I don't think a lot of people just don't understand. I don't know who I'm talking to, but a lot of people do not understand that, like, you can be at a 5x, you can be at a 10x from what you're doing right now. And I know this because this is like what happened to me. I was plateaued for years and years and years and years and years. I did carnivore for a while, and then I just did some like macro tracking. But then I started to understand once I wanted to go for the highest level, it's like, shit, these guys are having like really calculated meal plans that are covering all their stuff that are it's actually reflective of their blood work. Okay. Now, if you can't get blood work, like you should, but you need to, in order to just make sure you're being healthy, right? None of this stuff is worth anything if you're not healthy. All right. Now, kind of last part about this that I want to cover is weight cuts, right? So this stuff is like critically, really, really more critical for weight class athletes because the water cuts, that's the biggest thing. But also, like I said earlier, it's right, like we're talking about like you're only allotted so many carbs and you have to stay under a certain weight limit. Like you better make the most out of those carbs. So for me right now, I'm like off season or whatever, but like even in season, tons of fruits, even if they're frozen, still fine, right? Like, but I got tons of stuff. So like I'm going to go after this, I'm going to go have some dragon fruit, I'm going to have some mango. Tomorrow morning for my breakfast shake, I'll have some pineapple, whatever. But we are now back full circle. At the very beginning, Joseph asked about, game day hydration and nutrition. Well, your water cut is a big part of your hydration. And, there's your whole body's working in conjunction, right? So like certain things, like let's just talk about like mental stress, for example, right? Like if you're mentally stressed, your heart is beating faster and you're gonna retain a lot of water, okay? And this is like kind of a weird double-edged sword because like even though sometimes increasing your heart rate makes you want to sweat faster, if you're just like under stress, your body releases this huge wave dump of cortisol where it's going to want to maintain and hold on to all of its resources, right? Like this is just kind of a, biological adaptation that humans have because, right, like stress signals way, way, way back meant that like you were going hungry. So now we're going to like hold on to anything that we can, and then you're going to have a hard time water cutting. But like, let's think about it on the inverse. If you are healthy, nourished, and your body knows like, oh, I'm constantly getting this nice supply of like healthy foods. And again, it's not just about the days before, it's about the weeks and the months before, right? Like homeostasis. When your body's homeostasis is like very high nutrient intake, it takes a long time for it to get out of whatever homeostasis it is in either direction, right? Like if you're eating like really well, it takes a long time to like get out of that. But also too, just kind of remember, it takes some hard work and action. If your homeostasis is eating like shit and being out of weight, you have to make kind of some major changes in order to break this level. So again, if your homeostasis is like your body is a high performance machine, it's a living, active, breathing organism, which is like churning and overturning, its whole system, like its skin cells, its liver cells, its hair cells, everything, right? Like if it knows that, then it's going to have an easier time fully depleting itself of water and then taking things back in because it just is healthy. Okay, so it's so important to do this stuff, guys. It's so important to do this. But let's finish here. Calories first, then macros, then your micros, okay? Right? If you cannot like figure out like how to track your calories, there are many apps out there. You have to start here. If you cannot just like hit reasonable numbers here, macros, this is where you should start learning how to like meal prep and stuff. That happens here. Once you're figuring out how to meal prep, then you figure out how to meal prep better foods. This is where you start getting your micros in. Then you start adjusting, hydration like with your lifestyle where you're at. And then finally, like once all of this stuff ideally is just like totally routine, then we start making better choices, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna just like get organic beef, or I'm gonna get grass-fed eggs, or I'm gonna get grass-fed beef. I'm gonna get free-range eggs, right? I'm gonna get raw milk, But like with the quality, you'll understand how to fit all of this shit into it. Is all I'm saying, guys. Now, as best as you can, drink a lot of water, eat a lot of really high-quality foods. But that is what I got for you tonight. Okay, man, this is a good one. I had a lot of good things to say. If you have some questions, I will stick around for about a minute or two here. But that's that. I appreciate those of you that tuned in. There's good people that were good amount coming in and out of this one tonight. But what you need to know, guys, is like, it doesn't matter how you feel about it. The truth is, the people at the top are either doing this or they have a nutritionist that tells them what to do. So the sooner you can figure this out, the better. And it doesn't have to be right now. It just has to start getting better. So, guys, if anybody has a question, now is your time. I'm going to finish eating my sourdough bread here, hang out for about another 30 seconds. But if not, I'm go finish some work. And then, call it a night, get to bed early tonight, get some sleep. Anything, guys? You got me here. Ask some questions. Remember, routine, guys. Especially around game day. Don't want to be fucking around with too much new stuff. So, Trapper Kane in the building. All right, guys. I'm out. Stay strong. Have a championship night. Join clubstrongman.com, the #1 online strongman community. 300 plus strong and getting stronger every day. See you guys later.